Are you ready to unlock growth, build resilience, and confidently take the next step in leadership, career, and faith? Welcome to The Next Move. I'm Orvin Kimbrough, a CEO, author, and leader with a passion for helping people and organizations thrive. My journey from foster care to CEO has fueled my mission to help professionals scale their confidence, leadership, and influence through mindset shifts, expanded networks, and bold action. Each week, I'll share reflections ripped straight from my blog to inspire and empower you with actionable insights. Let's get started and make your next move your best move. Welcome back to The Next Move, the podcast where we explore faith, leadership, and personal growth to help you take your next step with purpose and confidence. Folks, I'm your host, Orvin Kimbrough. Today, I want to talk about something that's been sitting with me for a while now. Not heavy, not burdensome, but deep. We're going to talk about leadership that breathes life. Because let's be honest, we've all encountered leaders who inspire and leaders who drain the room the moment they speak. And what I've come to understand over time is this: the most powerful kind of leadership has less to do with your position and everything to do with your posture. So let's dive in. I want to start with something a colleague once told me, and I've heard this many times before, but they said, Orvin, you always talk about your audience of significance. So folks, you've heard me write about the importance of audience of significance. And this person said, for me, that audience is you. My goal is to do what you've asked of me. Now, that meant a lot, and it reminded me people aren't just watching your results, they're watching you. I've said before that one of the keys to staying focused in leadership is knowing your audience of significance. I know who my audience of significance is. It is not everyone. But here's the part I haven't reinforced enough. Every meaningful success I've ever had, came from helping someone else succeed. When I've shown up with compassion, when I have been present, when I've engaged in someone else's journey, somehow that always poured back into my own journey. And I think of what it says in 1 Peter 4, verse 10. Each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others. Whatever gift you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace. That's what leadership is. Stewardship and stewarding our gifts to serve. Stewardship and stewarding our gifts to serve. Stewardship and stewarding our gifts to serve, not to dominate, but to build up, not to extract, but to build up. Here's the trap. Leadership can easily become about winning the short game. I've seen folks who rack up win after win, quarter after quarter, but slowly unravel the culture in the process. And if you're a leader responsible for an entire enterprise like I am, you know this truth. Culture isn't a soft skill, it's the soil. If the soil isn't healthy, people don't thrive. If the soil is healthy, people do thrive. If it's toxic, nothing good grows. And often we shape the culture. We shape that culture not through policies, but through words. That's why Proverbs 18:21 speaks so clearly. The tongue has the power of what? It has the power of life and death. And those who love it will eat its fruit. That's real, folks. As leaders, we speak life or we don't. And there are consequences for both. Let me share two moments that expose some hard truths. I once watched a rising leader. This is true. I once watched a rising leader pass someone He walked past a janitor without so much as a nod, then instantly lit up when somebody who he viewed as important, a VP, entered the room. That inconsistency, folks, it eventually shows up. People remember how you made them feel. I think about this when I'm preparing for any kind of speech. People remember how you made them feel, not necessarily what you said. When you didn't think anyone was watching, another moment hit even closer to home. Years ago, I was hosting a company event at my house. A member of our facilities team said, "This is the most I've ever engaged with the executives." Now, I was new to the company, but in all of my years at the bank, um, I was still horrified by this statement because I had once served on the board, not because of what happened that day, but because of what hadn't been happening for years. We can't build a thriving community if dignity only flows upward. And scripture calls this out in James 2 1 through 4. We are warned against showing favoritism, treating people differently based on status. God doesn't operate that way, and neither should we. Let's talk about influence. Real leadership isn't about positional authority, it's about how you persuade, how you inspire, and how you create belief. There are two ways we typically lead, at least as I think about it. It's fear based and faith based. Fear based leadership is extractive, it creates obedience, but it kills creativity, it kills trust. People shrink in your presence, they doubt your words, even your praise, because they don't feel safe. But faith based leadership, on the other hand, that's different. It lifts people. It invites them to see a version of themselves they've never imagined. And it waits. It's patient, especially when the urgency isn't urgent. I'm reminded of this in 2 Timothy 1 through 7. For God gave us a spirit not of fear, but of power and love and self control. If God didn't give us fear as a leadership tool, why would we use it on others? Now, let me offer 3 lessons I've had to learn, some of them the hard way. Number one, what you say matters. Is it planting something or poisoning something? Number two, how you say it matters. Tone is everything. People rarely remember the details, but they remember how you made them feel. Number three, when you say it matters. Timing is wisdom. Sometimes holding back for the right moment is leadership. And this is where Ephesians 4:29 lands perfectly. Let no corrupting talk come out of your mouths, but only such as is good for building up as is fits the occasion, that it may give grace to those who hear. That's the standard. Speak to build, speak with grace, speak with intention. So let me close with this. A lot of people get promoted because they know how to perform, but elevated leadership, the kind that shapes culture, the kind that shapes vision and legacy, that takes soul work. It demands self-awareness, it demands emotional intelligence, it demands compassion, it demands restraint and faith in something bigger than your position. Because again, 1 Peter 4:10 reminds us your gifts were given to you, but they were never just for you. They're meant to move through you and bless others. Leadership, folks, is stewardship. And we either steward life or we don't. So let me ask you, think about your last difficult conversation. Did your words build trust or create confusion? Did your tone invite growth or did it shut it down? Because if we want to lead at the next level, we can't just drive outcomes. We have to breathe life. Thanks for joining me today on The Next Move. If this conversation resonated with you, Share it with someone who's growing in leadership. Subscribe wherever you listen. And until next time, keep growing, keep leading, and don't forget, your next move matters. Thank you for tuning in to The Next Move. I hope today's reflection inspired you to take the next step in your leadership, career, or faith journey. If this episode resonated with you, share it with someone who might need a little encouragement this week. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you'd like more reflections or resources, visit orvinkimbrough.com or theaccidentalbanker.com. Until next time, remember, every step you take brings you closer to thriving. Let's keep moving forward together.